All right. Let's get her going. Is my camera off? I feel like it might be. Hang on one sec. Let me see if that's what I think it is, or I'm just exceptionally pale today. Nope. I did reset at some point. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did reset. I gotta fix that real fast. Pardon me. There we go. I have bad news, not for any bad news that concerns you guys or really me, just inconvenient news. Which is whoops. I had a external drive fail on me. So in the course of trying to fix it and see if the drive had indeed failed, I did restart my computer, so that's why that's there. All right, let's get some music going here. Let's do sure. That one. Get this open. Let me move this down. All right. Okay, welcome in, folks. How's it going? Hello, Toaster. Lightning. Welcome in. FF1, not 10? No, we're not doing 10 quite yet. That will be soon, though. I think I'll play it. I think I want to do like 2 retro games, because I understand that FF1 is actually pretty short, as long as you don't screw up and have to restart, which might happen. So yeah, I do want to do like FF1, and then maybe like 3? Before we go on to like a big, really long one like 10. The only big ones we have left are 10 and 12. Well, 10-2. The 10 and 10-2 and 12. That's it. We've done all the other like modern Final Fantasies. Short of 11, which is an MMO. It's FF6? FF6 I think I'm still waiting on. I have played FF6 kind of. I watched my friend play through. We did a full playthrough together for Extra Life in 2021, which was Bartholomew, as you all know. And we just did like, Matt was the one playing because he's played it before, and then we just did voices. I just did voices. I voiced Kefka, which was fun. So I think I will play FF6. I don't know if I'm going to do it on stream, because I do know what happens. Like, I remember the plot, so it's not like I'm going to get surprised by anything. And like, I know some tips and tricks that I remember, and some specific stuff. So like, it wouldn't be a full blind playthrough, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to play it on stream. If I do want to replay it at some point, but it would probably be off stream. I don't know. Because we don't have FF6 on here. I'm waiting to replay it on my own before I put it on this ranking. But I have technically kind of played it. It's kind of weird. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it. We'll figure it out. Also, before I forget, I wanted to do this for a while, and I keep forgetting to. This. Hang on. Need to pop this out. I've just noticed something on my playlist capture that I have realized bothers me tremendously. And I need to fix it. I'm just going to do this. You're going to see this for a second. That's fine. Can I not move this? Oh, there we go. Too far, too far. There you go. There was a gap in the scrolling that annoyed the shit out of me. Okay, there we go. I noticed that so long ago and I never fixed it. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna play FF1. We'll probably get to that tonight. I can't imagine this will take too long. And then I think maybe like 2 or 3, because at that point the only retro game we have left is 5. We have very few games left to play of Final Fantasy, counting like the big mainline ones. We have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 10-2, and 12. That's it. Those are the 7 games that I have not played. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 10-2, and 12. So we're getting pretty close to having to find another franchise to play. I was talking about it on Broken Stream when we rated him on Tuesday. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do myself when I'm done with Final Fantasy games. We still have a lot to go, don't get me wrong. Rain World. You'll never stop trying. And I'll never stop ignoring you. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of like doing some more JRPG stuff or just RPGs in general, because I've really enjoyed playing the Final Fantasy games, even the ones that sucked ass. 13. Like even as bad as they were still enjoyable in their own way. So I was thinking of playing like Chrono Trigger. I've seen a playthrough of Chrono Trigger a long time ago. I know kind of what goes on and like some major plot points, but that's it. But it could be fun to play on my own. Maybe. I recommend an old PS2 game. Sure. I'm not above taking requests. Or recommendations. I know me and Nobody were thinking about playing the Trails series, but he started playing it on his own now, so I think I'm just gonna let him do it. Okage Shadow King. I have never heard of that before. I will have to look that up. But yeah, we do also have Dragon Quest XI, which I've heard a lot of good things about, so I would definitely be down for playing that, because I do own it. It was on sale, so I picked that up, and I know the remakes for the first 3 games are coming out semi-soon. Yeah, I think you and I think a couple other people I've talked to have said Dragon Quest XI is fantastic. So I look forward to playing that. So we'll probably wait until we're done. I was thinking of maybe doing Dragon Quest XI, like in between Final Fantasy games if I wanted to break. But unless I like really hate a game that I play and I just need to do something else, then we'll play Dragon Quest XI. But otherwise, I think we'll just keep doing Final Fantasy games. Minus whatever comes out. We know Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out early next year. And assuming my setup can run it, which I hope it can, but boy, the specs don't give me a lot of hope. We will be playing that on stream until we get to a ending point, whatever ending point exists. And then I don't know what other games are coming out next year that I can stream. Ghost of Yotei is coming out on PS5, but I don't have one of those, so I'll have to wait until the year after that at the earliest. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, where does 16 rank here? Let's get into it. So we've got for those of you who have not seen these before, but we have a bunch of categories. We have best gameplay, we have best story, best overall OST, best battle theme, best boss theme, best final boss theme, best final boss, best protagonist, best character design, and best world design. You help with the capture card? I can help. I don't have the PS5, unfortunately. A capture card would be nice, but I would have to make the big purchase first, which is what I don't want to do, because I don't have a lot of games I want to play on PS5, so it's not really a worthwhile purchase. Yet. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have the money for PS5. So. But if I have need of a capture card later, I'll let you know. Hey, RSI. Yes, you tuned in just in time. So, let's see. You must have a lot of money. Oh yeah, I'm such a prolific streamer. I'm raking in the dough. Best gameplay. Alright, so I've said it before, but 16, I really, really liked the gameplay. The only thing that wasn't good about the gameplay was like the quest design at times. But the core gameplay of 16 is really, really fun. I really enjoyed the combat. So where would I put it in the list. Because here's the thing, best gameplay doesn't cover just combat, it kind of covers the whole thing. And 4 in specific had like the best combat of any RPG I've played. And then like the secondary systems of like gearing and leveling and stuff were like pretty good. They were good enough that I had some like fun things to play around with of like, I'm gonna use this item and try to make this build happen or things like that, which was good. 16 didn't have that. It had really good core gameplay, but as far as the secondary stuff of like character build, wasn't a ton. It was like, what abilities do you want to use primarily? And then the rest of your gear was like, go to the blacksmith when you can and upgrade and just make sure you're on level. That's all you need to worry about. Otherwise, it just gave everything to you. 16 isn't really a JRPG. Yeah, it's an action RPG. Like, it's still an RPG, but it is not a classic JRPG in any sense. It is much closer to an action RPG. So with that in mind, that brings it down to like FF8 and FF7. And FF8 and FF7 both had decent combat. It was like serviceable, but it wasn't crazy. But the part that I really liked about 8 and 7 was the building aspect, right? The junction system in 8 and the materia system in 7 were super fun to play around with, and I had a ton of fun. So the question is, where does 16 rank when it comes to having really, really good combat, but not great character building versus 8 and 7, which had like decent combat, but really, really good character building? And if I even called it an action RPG, honestly, no, it is. It still has levels and stats, so it's an RPG. Like, there's no way around that. It's like a character action RPG, but it's still an RPG. RPG just means you have stats and levels. That's all it is. I think I'm gonna put it in 3rd place. Because the junction system, because FF8's combat was still pretty good. You still had to think. It wasn't just as puzzly as FF4 was, which I really liked. But it was still like pretty decent. You still had to know what you're doing. Even though I just spammed dark side most of the time. And the junction system was like excellent. I love the junction system. And the girlfriends, the Guardian Forces. Like, yeah, I think I'm going to put it in 3. I think it's better than 7. Like, the core gameplay of 16 beats out 7's really good, like, building, like, tertiary stuff. Oh, right, I can make this a numbered list, can't I? I forgot I could do that. Hang on, can I convert this? Is there a way to do that quickly? Yeah, kinda. I seem to recall saying I would do this off stream, and then I forgot, but that's fine. Make things easier in the future. So yeah, I think I can safely say it's at 3rd place. If it had had better character building, and like character leveling and stuff like that, like equipment and other stuff, I think I could put it in number 2 above 8. Even if it was just like slightly better, I would put it above 8. But the combat is still very, very good, so it definitely deserves that top 3 spot. And as much as I love 7, its combat is very basic. You just hit attack pretty much 95% of the time. Either attack or whatever biggest spell you have is. It's very much a damages everything game. Best story. I did like the story of 16. I think it's also gonna go... Is it better than FF9? I think I would say it's better than 9. 9 had a really lackluster ending. 9 had a really, really strong start. And then the ending... It was like the midway point. I just kept getting more and more let down. And by the end, I was not very happy. You hated 16 story? I loved it. I really, really enjoyed 16 story. The characters are really well written. I think the plot is very straightforward. And like, it has enough intrigue to keep you guessing, but it's not so complex that you don't know what the fuck is going on. But I think the character writing specifically carries it. Like, every time, there was no character that I like hated seeing on screen of like, oh my god, I don't want to listen to you. Like, from protagonists to antagonists, I was always interested when there was a cutscene. I do think the ending could have been better for 16, but I think it was still satisfying. I think they could have fleshed it out a bit more, but the beats that were hit made sense and were good. So I think I'm going to put it in the second slot, because I can't think of any other game that I would put above 16. If 6 was on this list, it would probably go above 16, because 6's story is really good. Or at least from what I remember. But like, yeah, FF9... The only, like, FF9 I'm really, like, I don't know. I think I am going to put it above 9, though. I left 16 happier than I left 9. That's right. That's why I'll put it in, Pool will put it in number 2. I was really happy with it. What is your interpretation of the ending? My interpretation of the ending was that after beating Ultima, Clive basically absorbs all the ether that was absorbed by Ultima that they were going to use to remake the planet. It was basically like godhood. He absorbed godhood. And then when Ultima was like, well, the Blight's still going to kill you all, so like it doesn't matter. Enjoy your victory while you can. And that's when Clive is like, all right, well, I'm going to remove all of the ways that humanity has to absorb ether from the planet, which was like crystals, magic, icons, all the basically fantasy stuff, and just turn it off. I'm just going to get rid of it, and then everyone will be able to live in a normal world without the Blight, but also without crazy magic shit. And he fucking Thanos snapped, and that's the way it was. And then he died. Because he absorbed basically, or he had so much ether in him that by expending all of it, it turned him into, you know, a statue like the rest of the guys. Did I do the side quests? Not all of them, no. I did the ones to unlock the DLC, and that was it. So unless the side quests change that ending, which I don't see how it would, but maybe it does, I don't know. No, I did not. But yeah, I thought for a second it was a little unclear what he was doing with Joshua. I think he just fixed the wound in him. That was it. I thought for a second he was reviving him, because I thought, like, you know, you have godhood now. You can do that, surely. But I think he just fixed the wound in him and then realized that he couldn't actually bring him back because his soul was gone. Which I think makes sense. That's pretty, like... That fits with how Final Fantasy usually treats death, is like, once the soul is gone, you're toast. The side quests can change your interpretation. Really? I wonder what in the side quests would change that. I'd be very curious. If you get, like, extra lore for Ultima and what they do and shit. But yeah, I think I'll still, until I get other information or think about it more, I think it's going in the number 2 spot. Side quest involves Clive saying he'll put down his sword and pick up the pen? Oh, and become a writer? Okay. What does that change? Is that like... I don't know. I don't understand how that changes anything. That's I guess what I'm asking. Because I know there's that book that like Joshua apparently wrote, which I assume he wrote before he died. The ending book written by Joshua. Yeah. Joshua couldn't have written it? Well, he was dead. He wrote it beforehand. I mean, that was my understanding. Or just any character wrote it beforehand. I mean, like, the side quests saying that Clive wanted to become a writer, I don't think implies that he survived. I don't think that makes sense, because everything else in the game says that he died. So, like, a side quest saying that he had a motivation to do so doesn't really change anything. It was like he had a dream that didn't become fulfilled because he died. So, you can interpret it that way. I would just not agree with you. I think it would be an incorrect interpretation of the series of events. It's also the narrator of the story? Okay. I mean, it's still the possibility of, like, he wrote it before he went to go and fight Ultima, and then still died afterwards. Like, you know, like, I don't think there's anything that changes the fact that he 100% dies at the end. The star blinks out, he's on the beach turning to stone. Everyone is sad because they're pretty sure that he's dead, and then it cuts to, like, many years later. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying that doesn't make sense for you to believe it that way. There are hints, but at the end of the day, the cutscenes were the cutscenes. Because he 100% died. I don't think the post-game stuff about absorbing Ultima is canon. Makes perfect sense. It only makes perfect sense if you deliberately ignore everything that happened in the final cutscenes. That's the only point where that interpretation makes sense, is if you actively ignore what happens. So I won't stop you, but I do not agree. Anyways, I'm still gonna put it in the second spot. You only ever see Clive turn completely to stone? I assume you mean that you don't see him turn completely to stone. I think you just wrote that wrong. True, but that star blinks out. Yeah, we never see. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, true, you don't see a body, but you don't see Dion's body either. And it's pretty heavily implied that he's also dead. Like, I get where you're coming from, but it contradicts the story if you interpret it that way. Like, there's no way to make those two things fit. Grappling count isn't necessarily related to Clive, actually. Okay, but also, Gav and Jill both believe that he's dead after watching that star blink out because they're both extremely sad. Right? So in order for that, the case of, like, he actually survived to be real, they just take an entire emotional beat of them finding out that Clive is alive and just put it off screen where you can't see it. And you just have to assume that that happened. Which is really dumb and doesn't make sense. Like, you basically have to assume the resolution of the story is something else than what it actually shows on screen. Director also said the ending is intentionally open. Okay, I mean, it's not that open. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess it's the FF7 problem of, like, it's open enough that you can completely determine how the story ends, which is fine, but, like, the narrative beats and the themes hit in the final cutscenes of 16 all imply he dies. So even though it's open, you would basically have to write an entire chapter of the story in your head to make that interpretation that he survives make sense. Like, it would contradict the theming of the final cutscene. So, yeah, it's potentially open, but you just have to ignore a lot of implications and theming of, like, yeah, that actually doesn't... None of this stuff that it's implying is actually true. which is just I would not agree with it. I dislike open endings, as do I. I just don't think 16's ending is that open. It's not like 7 where like I ended 7 not even knowing if we won. Like if I was the victor at the end. 7's ending is terrible. I maintain that it is a terrible ending. Doing all the side quests can change their interpretations. Again, you get additional information for Clive's motivations, but the final cutscene is still the final cutscene. All of the implication is that he died in the final cutscene. With or without the side quests, that does not change. Those cutscenes are still the series of images on the screen that imply certain things. So there are possibilities that he might have survived and stuff, but it would run directly against what they showed in the final cutscene. So, again, I don't think the side quests really actually change the interpretations that much unless you're willing to ignore stuff. Anyways, that's my final thoughts on that. Is I believe that he is dead and that the book that was there was partially written by either him or Joshua, but he still died at the end. Because that is what the cutscenes show and imply. Alright. Best overall OST. I think this one might actually be number 1. I mentioned it before when we finished 16, but this game soundtrack was fucking stellar. I think it is my overall favorite. Because the only one it's going up against is 15, like easy. And 15's was good. I mean, it was Yoko Shimomura, who was incredible. But man, there were a lot of good tracks in 16, like across the board. So I think I'm easily gonna put this in number 1. Soken was in his bag here for 16. So I think I can safely put that in number 1. Even like the overworld, like certain zone themes were excellent. There were like special themes for dungeons. It really had like the FF7 remake thing of like there was just music everywhere. Speaking of FF7 remake, is it on this list? No, we said we were gonna. That's right, we were gonna wait. We were going to wait until all 3 games have come out and I've played them before I rank them because they're basically all one game. Yeah, I think I can definitely put that in number 1. Now, best battle theme is probably going to be lower. And I think I actually have to remember what the battle theme is for 16. Pause this real fast. Just blow out people's eardrums. Yep, I knew that was coming. Okay, I remember this now. I think this is a good battle theme. I wouldn't put it above, like, any of the really, really good battle themes from previous Final Fantasy games. Because, like, the classic battle theme, like, it's no, I don't know if anything's going to beat FF7's battle theme. Yeah, it's definitely good, but I don't think I would put it above, like, FF4. It's, like, probably... It's in the number 5 spot, like, above 13, but it's, like, noticeably higher. It's, like, way up there compared to 13. And 13 still had a battle theme that was pretty good. But, It's really hard to beat the classic battle themes that Uematsu did, because those are all some of the best music video games ever had. And Soken is doing his damnedest to beat him, but sometimes it's hard to beat. And I think specifically like in fact I can play it in the thing right now. So I have it as part of the stream playlist. Let me find it. Where is it? It's this one, right? Yeah, here it is. The reason I love the battle themes for like 7, 8, and 4, 15 is still really high up there because Yoko Shimomura's work is tremendous. But 7 specifically is so memorable. And the reason for that is that when it comes to Uematsu's work, and it's something that I don't think any other composer has done nearly as well, Uematsu is really, really, really fucking good at putting a through-line melody that is right on top of the mix, and it's right there in front of you, and it's memorable, right? It's got a series of notes right in front of all of the instrumentation that you always can remember, because it's very clear, and it's very good, and it's very catchy. And when it comes to a lot of other orchestrations, but especially modern orchestrations, that's way less prevalent. What ends up happening with modern orchestrations is that because they have so many more tools, they can make tracks way more complex, which is still good. It's still good music, but because they're so focused on making it complex, there's so many moving parts that when you try to think of the track later, you can't really hear it in your head. Whereas the classic themes, like in 7 and 8 and 4, because they're so simple, it's like the difference between like a modern radio hit and like classical music. It's like, can you argue that one is objectively better than the other? Yeah, 100%. But which one are you going to remember after you hear it for the first time? Probably the modern radio hit. Yeah, complexity versus depth. And I don't even know if I would say depth. It's even just like no, I guess that's correct. Yeah, complexity versus depth, I think, is the best way to put it. And yeah, that's what Uematsu does really well. And the thing with Soken is that, for those of you who don't know, Masayoshi Soken is the composer for FF16 as well as FF14, and he's sort of like considered Uematsu's, what's the word? Protege. I wanted to say prodigy, but that wasn't it. And the thing with Soken is that he's actually really good at doing that. If you hear his work on 14, he does that in spades. He's like the motif master. He's constantly putting melodies right on the top of the track. They're like clear, they're concise, they're simple, and you can easily think of them later. And in the moment, it's very obvious what's going on as well. So Soken knows how to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think he did that in 16. I think in 16 he went sort of the other direction, where he was going for more, more complex songs because he had just greater tools and more time and could make these giant bombastic orchestral tracks. And they're fucking great, don't get me wrong. Like, we just put it in the best overall OST slot. It's number 1. But for that reason, I don't think I can say it's as memorable as some of the other tracks when it comes to like specific tracks. So I think it's going to be below most of the big ones. And in fact, honestly, I might move 15 down. Because 15, like I'm trying to think of 15 in my head and I can't. I do not remember it at all. So I might actually drop that. I don't even know why I put it in number 2 in the first place. I think I'm going to move that. And we'll put that below. I do think 15's, from what I remember, 15's battle track is really good. So I think I'm going to put it still above 16. But yeah, I don't think it deserves to be above 8 or 4. Okay. Best boss theme. This is another one I'm going to have to look up because I actually don't remember it super well. I kind of remember it. I can think of like the first notes, but I can't remember the full song, so I am gonna look it up. Boss theme. Ozar. Recording boss battle theme. Oh, this is gonna run into the 15 problem in that there are a ton of boss themes. Okay. I'm gonna listen to this one's just called boss battle theme. We'll listen to this one first, but I know the icon battles also have their own theme. This feels like more of a mini boss theme than like a proper boss theme. I think I kind of remember this one. Yeah, this one's all right. I think it's a very good generic boss theme, but it's not particularly memorable. It's not one I would put on a playlist. But it fits for the moment. However, I know the icon boss fight is different. Yeah, this is the one that I was thinking of when I thought of boss themes. Yeah, and the fact that I can kind of remember this one goes a long way. I was always excited when I started hearing the first notes of this playing. Yeah, and then it's got like a breakdown midway through. This is a really good boss theme. Yeah, this one's gonna go in a higher spot. I don't think it's gonna hit for 8 and 7. Those are still some of the best boss themes ever made, in my opinion. I think I'm gonna put it above 15s though. If we're counting that one. The other one isn't as good, but I guess we're kind of lumping in like all boss themes here. And yeah, 16. And I think there are also other tracks as well. Because we also have to consider the individual like icon fight tracks and like specific boss themes, of which there are many. Yeah, because there's also this one, which is like another track you hear in icon fights. This is when you're fighting as Ifrit. It has lyrics? Oh my god, it does. This one is also fucking incredible. Woo! There's 35 videos in this playlist of FF16 boss themes. Holy Jesus. This is the Phoenix theme, Shiva theme. Yeah, oh my god, there's so many. And of course, the DLC themes for those fights. Oh yeah, the Typhon fight had a really good track. Yeah, it was like this crazy EDM thing. Titan Lost, which is like 3 themes in one. Yeah, I gotta give it to 16 here. There were so many excellent boss themes. None of them are as memorable as anything from 4, 8, and 7 for those boss themes. Those are untouchable. Like the FF7 one, especially. That one I remember a lot. But the FF8 one, I think it's Force Your Way. Yeah, this one. Still one of the best boss themes they've ever made. And then the FF4 one is incredible as well. I don't think I have it on this playlist, actually. Unless it's under a different name. I don't think it is. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, this one. Banana, banana, na, 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 na. Yeah, I still love this one. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it. It's not as memorable as the classic tracks, but holy shit, is it good. And final boss theme. This one's gonna be tough because I think there's like 3 different tracks again in here. Or FF16. Let's find it. This is the first one that comes up, which is All Is One. But there are several tracks in here, and like I've said before, if we can count Dancing Mad as like all one track, then we're gonna count all of the final boss themes as one track for every Final Fantasy. Which includes like 8, which is like 2 or 3, no 3 I think separate themes, technically, but Dancing Mad kind of broke the mold, so we're mixing it up. Let's go with this one, I think. I think this is the very final boss theme. Yeah, this is Ultimalius. This one is really good because it's a continuation of the boss theme. It's the same track or the same melody, but it's reorchestrated, which is a really good trope for final boss themes. I love musical callbacks like that, and Soken does that in spades. Yeah. That's really good, and then there's also... I think, yeah, Logos is the other one. When you're fighting in space, which is still crazy. It also makes sense narratively for why the final boss theme would be a reorchestration of one of the regular boss themes. Narratively, that makes a lot of sense, which I like. This one's really good. Okay. That is definitely high. I think I'm going to put that above 15. 15's final boss theme is really good, but man. I gotta put 16 high on the list. Oops, I gotta fix this as well. Soundtrack is like one of the few good things about 15. The game is very mediocre, except for the soundtrack. I'm not gonna put it above Zeromus' theme, and I'm definitely not putting it above the Extreme. And I think it's Azaline, which is the other one. For FF8. The Extreme is still far and away my favorite final boss theme ever in all of video games. I liked it when I heard it outside of the game, and actually playing it was like 20 times better. It's synced up so well with the fight, it just does such a good job. It makes the final boss theme, or the final boss, like, even better, and that's a really good final boss. Yeah, okay. Ooh. We could see 16 take a #1 spot here. 16's final boss is fucking excellent. The fight is incredible. Like, the fight design, but also the narrative around it. Like, finally getting to punch Ultima in the face. And it's got, like, 3 different rad phases. Like, all of them are cool. That final phase especially is incredible. I love mirror matches, and the whole final boss is that. It's one big mirror match. That's such a fun trope. So as much as I love Ultimecia, I think I have to put 16 up here. And the second phase is like a giant space battle spectacle. It's so good. So I think I can safely say this is my favorite final boss. The Ultima fight is incredible. It's fun, it's flashy, it's got incredible music. The mechanics are neat. I really don't have any complaints. It's just real fucking cool. Narratively satisfying to see Ultima like break down as he realizes that you are as strong as him, if not stronger. And it like puts his godhood into question. Really, really fun final boss. Big fan. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. Best protagonists. Ooh, this is a good question. I really like Clive as a protagonist. I think he does a really good job. He's a lot of character development, which I appreciate a lot. He's very dynamic as a character. He's got a lot of emotional depth. He's got good scenes with other characters where they have like heart-to-hearts. You know, I love that shit. That was why Squall's up here. Squall has a lot of development. Zack is tough to beat because Zack is truly the only thing that makes Crisis Core playable. Well, I guess the gameplay is pretty good, but Zack is a joy in that game's story. Genuinely just a guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. Do I like Clive more than Zack, though? I think I might. I really, really enjoyed Clive. Yeah, he is. It's not exactly canonical, but boy, is it extremely heavily implied that Clive is the only FF protagonist to get some action. I also really like his relationship with Jill. I think their relationship is one of the best parts of the story, and seeing that evolve. Like, both people who have very, very traumatic backstories and things that they feel like they have to prove and things they have to atone for kind of find each other. Yeah, I think I'm going to put him above Zack. I think he is my new favorite protagonist. I'm also going to format it like this to make this slightly more readable. Also, his interactions with, like, the other villains. Like, he never had, there's always a point that I'm always worried about where, despite his whisper talk, to be fair, it was just sort of in character that he was whispering, because everyone else was too. That never really bothered me, because everyone kind of did that. And he was always, like, he was capable of yelling, because he yells plenty of times. So that never bothered me, though I could see it being kind of grating after a certain point. But everyone was very soft-spoken in 16. Most of the time. What was I saying? I don't remember. I had a thought, and I lost it. But yeah, I think he is my favorite protagonist. I think he just has, like, the best writing. He's... like, I don't dislike him. Oh, I remember now. There was always a point when it comes to stories where there's a lot of different, like, motivations at play. And, like, people have different ideals and, you know, things that they believe in. There's always a danger when you have a story like that, that you'll have character interactions which are basically just one person saying their motivations, and then the other person saying their motivations, and there's no actual dialogue being had. It's either like that, or just the other person going, no, you're wrong, and then that's it. This happens in 14, and it's one of my least favorite parts of 14. It's really, really aggravating. And I never felt like 16 got to that point. There was always, like, when someone was talking about what they believed in or why they were doing things, Clive always had like a salient point that, like, made sense of, like, but this, like, think about this thing. Or in the event where he didn't care, he was just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, like with Kupka, where he was just like, you can believe whatever you want, I don't care, I have my own motivations and I'm taking you down, which I still love that. Like the scene in the throne room where they finally come to blows. Mwah, excellent. And, like, Clive admits that he was the one who killed Benedicta and then, like, doesn't even care. He's like, yeah, I did it. What are you gonna do? Fuck you. You destroyed my home and you're occupying my castle. So, Yeah, I think he's easily my favorite protagonist. He's just he's got the most writing behind him. They actually properly focus on him and develop his character. He has he's multifaceted. He's not just the same thing over and over again. His character development makes sense. Who admitted they killed Benedicta? Clive. Because Hugo initially thought that it was Sid, and then he was doing all of this to basically get back at Sid through Clive because Sid was already dead. And then Clive was like, no, it was actually me who killed her. And he's like, fuck, it was you? I get to punch you myself? No, not the beheading part. I don't think we ever... No, I think that we found out that that was Sleipnir or Barnabas who did that. Or was it Ultima? I can't remember. But no. Because I think Kuko did assume that Clive beheaded her. And he was like, no, that wasn't it. Yeah, that was Barnabas. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. No, Clive was like, I was the one who killed her, as Garuda. I was the one who killed her. But Kupka assumed that Clive cut off her head and sent it to her. But he never, I don't think he ever actually says it in that cutscene. It's just the implication is there, but neither of them know that. There's a miscommunication because neither of them know specifically what happened. Which is not a bad thing. It makes sense. But yeah, that scene was really, really rad. And he's got a lot of other fantastic scenes. So I think he's my favorite protagonist. Like I said, he's got just so much writing behind him that I can't say is the same for most of the other protagonists. They focus on him and they do it well. Not like the 13 trilogy where they focus on Lightning and drag her through the mud. Oh, I didn't put Lightning Returns on here. Well, it's going to be the bottom of every list, so don't really have to worry about that one. I genuinely think it will be at the bottom of every single list. I think Lightning Returns is one of the worst games I think I've ever played, let alone of the Final Fantasies. It hurts so much, which that 13 is terrible, or Lightning got dragged through the mud. Lightning was done very dirty. Best character design. Ooh. I'm surprised 4 is up here so high. But I guess it's pretty iconic because I think the FF4 Dragoon design is the one they go with for every previous Final Fantasy. Lightning Returns automatically on the bottom of every list. Oh yeah. I genuinely can't think which one it wouldn't be at the bottom of. That game is a comprehensive failure. Cupid didn't think it was Sid, which is why he attacked the hideout, if I recall correctly. Yeah, that's correct. Because he got the head of Benedicta, that was why he went after the hideout, and then after learning I think Clive was alive and still helping people, he was like, well, none of that. My revenge is not complete if you're alive. Yeah, 4 established a lot of the FF style archetypes, that's right. That's why I put it so high. Which does make sense. 13's character design is still really, really good. I think 16's character designs were pretty good. I think they were a little too... How do I put this? There were certain things about them where the whole game has a very realistic art style. Oh god, I love this song. Where I felt like some of the character designs sort of broke that foundation. Specifically some of the colors. The colors were very vibrant on certain characters, which felt a little odd. I think Clive's outfit is the one that kind of irks me. His basic outfit has bright red leather on it, which is that's not an impossible thing to have, but it kind of clashes with the overall sort of desaturated palette of the rest of the game. So I think I am going to dock it kind of severely when it comes to character design. I also think that there were some armor designs that were really, really good, but there were also some that just didn't make sense. Clive's specifically, where it's weirdly asymmetrical in parts that don't make sense. The legs, the thigh plates. One has an extra thigh plate that goes further up the leg than the other, and I don't know why. It drives me nuts. Late 16 launch, so my memory is hazy. Played it once, felt like a drag, but probably because of the damage output not being buffed. I mean, I can tell you straight up, 16's story does drag because of the quest design. Like there is filler in 16. There's like the pacing is not good. It's still a really good story, but there are multiple moments where it kind of grinds to a halt where it shouldn't. It needed to be edited down. That's like the biggest flaw I can say with 16's story. It was the one thing holding it back from like a potentially 10 out of 10 story. It's like that and like maybe fleshing out the ending a little bit more. I think I'm going to put it above FF8. I think it's going to be below FF7 and Crisis Core, because those are basically the same. And I think I'm going to put it above 8. Because 8, I feel like, also had a similar problem, where it looked kind of out of place for some of the characters. Like, very bright colors in some characters. Like, is it Quintus? No, Quistis, that's it. Her, like, bright yellow, like, sleeveless coat thing. Or not bright yellow, bright orange. And then, like, Renoa's, like, in bright sky blue. And, what's his nuts? Punchy Boy with the Mike Tyson face tattoo. Oh, what the hell is his name? Zell? I think it's Zell. He's, like, kind of a weird mishmash of stuff. So I'm not really crazy about FF. I mean, I think I still ultimately like 8's character design. It's not like I dislike it, but when it comes to comparing it to other games, I think it's could have been better. So I think I'm going to put 16 here. I think it's about the same tier. Well, no, I think I'm going to put it above 8. Yeah. Because there are still outfits that I like. It's really just like the colors too bright. Jill's outfit is like fantastic. I love Jill's outfit. Clive's outfit is like close. It's just too bright and it's like weirdly asymmetrical. Yon's outfit is pretty rad. Ultima's design is really cool. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to put it there. Above 8. Not crazy above 8, but above 8. Best world design. Ooh. This one is probably going to be lower. I think this was one of the things that I said when we finished 16 that I wasn't really happy with, which was the zone design. The zone design in 16 I felt like was a pretty major letdown. The environments were not super interesting to be in. And I think part of that might be because CS3 did an MMO first, which zone design is important in an MMO, but because of the scale and how the camera works, you can afford to make things a lot bigger and more spread out because you're way above your character most of the time. Whereas because 16 was sucked real close to Clive, there were a lot of situations where things looked obviously too big. And I think that was part of the issue. 16 zones are more interesting than 15's empty open world. You know what? I think I'm with you there. I will agree with you. I don't think it was bad. I think it could have been better. I think I might put it above 4, because 4 had very basic environments. It was like field, cave, lava, mech place. That was like the only interesting one. Space cave. Whereas I think 16 still did have some pretty rad set pieces that you were traveling through. Yeah, no, it's definitely above 15. 15's world design is very, very poor. And I don't think I can put it above 7 because 7 and Crisis Core have excellent world design. 16 has at least 3 towns. It's true, there are a bunch of different towns. And there were clearly defined like locales and regions with different aesthetics. So I can say that. Like the places felt distinct. It was just the individual sort of maps weren't super great. So I think I'm gonna put it above 4. And I think 4 was mainly hampered by just being a game of that era. Where like they couldn't do a whole ton. Like I feel like 1, 2, and 3, and probably 5 are probably gonna be similar issues of just not being anything particularly interesting. It's not until about 6 and 7 where they start to get really experimental with their worlds. Okay. I think I can be... Oh, and I wanted to put... Yeah, I gotta put Lightning Returns on here. Alright, here we go. Lightning round. Literally. Best gameplay. I actually will put this above 13 and 13-2. I think Lightning Returns had the best gameplay of any of the 13 games. Even though it was the one we didn't even finish. Best story. Lightning Returns. Copy and paste. Best overall OST. Lightning Returns. Battle theme. Lightning Returns. Boss theme. Lightning Returns. Final boss. I haven't even heard it, but it's probably at the bottom. Final boss. Lightning Returns. Protagonist. It's Lightning, but she's been emotionally lobotomized. Character design. I fucking hate the outfits in Lightning Returns. Can't stand them. At least we could agree on the Lightning Returns stuff. No, that's true. World design. Oh my god. I need like 3 other numbers to put here. Lightning Returns was horrifically awful when it came to world design. That game looks like garbage. And not just graphically, like just zone-wise, they're terrible. Alright, cool. I think that is it for the rankings. All in all, 16 scores pretty high. High in the gameplay and story departments, and pretty high in individual categories as well. It's like high middle as far as rankings. Only with only a couple that actually, yeah, it scored first place in a lot of spots. Like the worst it gets, it's world design. FenQuest isn't the only one that can alter your interpretations. It's just one. Has some other with most of the other characters to build it up. Okay. I mean, my interpretation remains. I would have to see some like pretty blatant stuff in the side quests to change my opinion that Clive 100% dies. But good to know there's at least something in the side quests. Okay. I think yeah, I think we can end it there. That'll be the updated ranking video, so we'll end the recording here. YouTube, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.